Tonight I'm going to fly Kuwait Airways flagship in first class from Kuwait to Manila in the Philippines. Due to its relatively small fleet and destination count, Kuwait Airways operates in the shadow of the big players in the Middle East, such as Qatar Airways, Emirates and Etihad. Yet, like those airlines, Kuwait Airways offers also a first class. Having experienced Etihad and Emirates first class before, I'm curious to also experience the Kuwaiti version. Come along with me on this journey to Southeast Asia in the best cabin Kuwait Airways has to offer. Kuwait offers a dedicated Royal Class check-in, but I arrived just from Cairo and now I am in transit at Kuwait Airways' own Terminal 4 in Kuwait. This is one of a couple of stops on my lengthy journey from Switzerland to the Philippines. Flying First, or Royal Class, grants me access to the Elite Lounge, which is in a separate part of the Al-Mubarakiya Lounge. This lounge is very spacious, but also very quiet. There was one more guest in the lounge who left about 10 minutes after my arrival, so it was only me and a lounge crew of 2 or 3, who was very eager to serve me, even though there was a self-service buffet. I basically just pointed out what I want, and the lounge attendant prepared everything for me. The food was absolutely delicious. However, since I'm being served the food at the table anyway, I would have loved to see a menu at the table instead of having this hybrid buffet and table service set up, but I'm not complaining at all. Earlier than necessary, I decided to go to the gate, where I found out that it's actually a bus gate. Hopefully this will provide me some good outside shots of the aircraft. Eventually it was me and 2 other passengers that were brought on our own bus to the aircraft. How relaxing is that? And here it is, our Boeing 777-300ER. That will bring us to Manila in the next 10 hours. I was welcomed very friendly by the cabin crew and brought to my seat, or suite I should say. And look at this white seat, wow! The seat is a mix of fabrics and leather, which I think is pretty smart, especially when it's rather warm. The seat itself feels very soft, so I expect it should also be a comfortable seat for sleeping. The first or Royal Class cabin is laid out in a 1-to-1 configuration, with the 2 middle seats ideal for partners traveling, and there's a separation wall if needed. While there are not too many people on board yet, I had a sneak peek into the business class section, which comes in a 2-to-2 layout, therefore offering direct aisle access to only 2/3 of the business class passengers. I was offered a welcome drink, a refreshing hand towel and some nuts, while we waited for the rest of the passengers to board the aircraft. Cheers to a good and comfortable flight to Manila. I was very happy to see that Kuwait also offers Arabian coffee and a date before departure, a gesture I quite enjoy when flying Middle Eastern carriers, and I love Arabian coffee. Welcome on board this Boeing 777-300ER of Kuwait Airways. It's almost 3 o'clock at night and we are gonna leave in a few minutes, I think. They're still refueling though, so it might take another 20 minutes or half an hour maybe. And then we will be on our way from Kuwait, where we are now, to Manila. It's gonna be around a 9-hour flight. If they plan to serve a dinner still now, I might skip it, so I'll go straight to sleep. But we will see if they actually even serve something now or not. I'm too tired to eat now, and I'm still quite full from the lounge. The crew is super welcoming and they are completely fine with me filming. I mean, I promise I'm not going to film any other people. In the worst case, I will have to blur them, but if you are a subscriber of my channel, then you know that I will do that anyway. So far it looks like it's going to be a very pleasant flight, and we'll see how much I'm going to sleep, hopefully a few hours. A few hours ago I was flying from Cairo to Kuwait, also on a Boeing 777 with Kuwait Airways in first class. So some of the clips that you see will be from that flight, because it was a bit easier to film there. And I wasn't quite sure how busy it's going to be on this flight, although this flight looks a bit less busy. But so far it seems I'm the only one in this first class cabin. But I think there are some members of the crew using the first class cabin as a crew rest area, so I'm not going to be by myself here. This is the Royal Class dining menu, and we will look at its content a bit later. Here I find a minibar similar to what I had with Emirates and Etihad. A cool feature. The pouch contains the Kuwait Airways branded noise-cancelling headphones, which I will try out later in the flight. This rather fluffy blanket I can stow in this ottoman, which also functions as a guest seat in my suite. And it's also a storage room, quite handy for stowing away my hand luggage during takeoff and landing. The guest seat also provides a seat belt in case of turbulences. In here I find the dining table, which can be unfolded like this, which I obviously filmed a bit later in the flight. Sorry for the footage patchwork. This here looks like a control pad. Let's look at it after departure. And here I found a little closet to hang any potential coats. A super nice feature, helping to keep the suite tidy. And who doesn't like a branded coat hanger? A total of 3 windows are at my disposal. That's how spacious my suite is. In here I find the life vest, and next to it there's another quite large storage compartment. So in terms of storage space, I absolutely can't complain. Each suite has its own 2 sliding doors for a maximum of privacy during the flight. Around 20 minutes later, still in the parking position, I was served a second round of welcome drink and nuts and hand towel. How nice, that's definitely a first, receiving 2 rounds of welcome treats and Arabian coffee. Over there I found this thing which looks like a flower holder. But there is still more to discover, like this in-flight entertainment system handheld. We will deep dive into the IFE later in the flight. And there is more. Or maybe not. I think this is not meant to be removed. Oops. Here we have a selection of USB, power and headphone sockets, and what seems to be a 2 small bottle holder. Next to it I find a gap for paper, such as the air sickness bag, donation envelope and... not sure what that is. And there's of course also the safety card. Let's have a quick look at it. And this thing here is a Kuwait Airways notebook, nice. By the way, while there are center overhead bins, there was none along the window seats, and no air fans, just reading lights. But there is an individual air fan right next to my seat, together with an additional set of reading and ambient lights. This is going to be our route across Asia tonight. A pre-departure prayer is offered on the screen, which means we are going to be on our way any moment. While the safety video looks quite standard, it also shows a sign language version, which was actually quite fun to watch, as it naturally was very expressive.
With you, as this will obstruct evacuation.
In the meanwhile, I figured out that I can use this touchpad to lower the minibar for takeoff. We are finally on our way, luckily, as I am really tired now. I'm happy to see that Kuwait Airways offers an in-flight camera on this Boeing 777. but a view, wow. We are airborne, and I slowly but surely get comfortable, as I will soon try to catch up on some sleep a bit. For the night I was provided with the seat topper and a thick blanket. I'm really looking forward to try it out in a moment. These are some of the seat position options, and one of them even lowers the entire side console for additional space when sleeping. This display offers all the lighting options for my suite, and it's indeed a large number of options with many ambient light settings. And for those who can't disconnect, Kuwait Airways also offers in-flight Wi-Fi called Bluebird. But now let's get a bit more comfortable. This would be the dining option for tonight and the breakfast option for tomorrow morning. Not quite as extensive as with Emirates or Etihad in first class, by far not. But, like I said, I'm not going to have dinner now that late at night, and I told the cabin attendant, who was collecting the meal orders, that I will skip dinner and be happy to wait till breakfast is served. As much as I liked trying out the royal class dinner on this flight, I think I would have fallen asleep with my head dropping into the soup. That wasn't worth the extra clicks the video would get. Instead, I show you the appetizer I got on my short flight from Cairo to Kuwait earlier this evening. Also on board the Kuwait Airways Boeing 777 in the first class. Before I go to sleep, let's have a look at the Kuwait Airways in-flight entertainment. As the large screen is far out of reach to use any touchscreen functions, everything can be controlled with this handheld. The options are movies, music, further Islamic content, shopping, the in-flight map, news and information about Kuwait Airways. In the movie section I find roughly 85 movies, a lot of Arabic ones, but also Hollywood. I will scroll through them quickly, but feel free to pause. These are the TV show options, but I barely recognize any of these, if I'm honest. The audio and music sections seem to be the most extensive one, with about 180 titles. And here we have the Aviation Geek's favorite IFE feature, the flight maps and information. Enough IFE for now, it's time for my urgently needed sleep. Quick bathroom visit before dreamland. Here I find amenities such as shaving set and dental kit. Another empty flower holder and some fragrance and lotion. This bathroom has this large ceramic sink, which is quite nice. Baby changing table, the toilet itself, and there's also this fold down bench. Back in my suite, I'm going to say goodnight already, while I prepare the flat bed. I'm sure I could have asked the crew to prepare the bed for me, but I was fine doing it myself. In the meanwhile, why don't you consider hitting the subscribe button, as this would help my channel grow? That would be wonderful. What a long and wide bed. This is wonderful. Said that, good night, and see you again in a few hours. Good morning from overhead, let's see. Bangkok. So I must have slept around a solid 5 hours, and it was comfortable indeed. Here we have Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport, if I'm not mistaken. Not this time, Bangkok. Not this time. I see we have roughly 3 hours to go before arrival in the Philippines. I think it's the perfect time to start the new day by asking for the breakfast to be served. And so the crew did, and around 20 minutes later I received my bread and croissant together with my muesli, a smoothie and of course the much appreciated coffee. Look at this silverware with the bird logo and also the FC imprint for first class. Afterwards I received my omelette with halloumi cheese, spinach, beans and a guacamole sauce. Besides the guacamole, I loved my breakfast. And check out the salt and pepper dispenser. My morning meal concluded with a tart and strawberries. Since I always eat too much, I asked for another snack about an hour later and the cabin attendant brought me this basket of snacks. I just realized we haven't checked out the amenity kit, so let's do that before we land in Manila. It is branded by Samsonite and it contains a little pouch with lotions and sprays, a Kuwait Airways eye mask, leaflet and a dental kit. A little pen and a nail file. All in all, a nice amenity kit, even if not comparable to the opulent kits you get with Emirates and Etihad in first class. We are now a bit more than an hour away from Manila, so maybe it's already a good time to quickly summarize my experience on board Kuwait Airways in their first class, or as they call it, royal class. I very much liked the seat or the suite. I'm not quite sure how to call it because I can close the door and it does feel like being in our own little room, and I think I slept the best in a very long time. It was so comfortable with the extra duvet, the extra sort of mattress. I think it's called topper, so it was really pleasant to sleep. I slept almost 6 hours through and breakfast was quite nice too. The cabin crew is very friendly and very attentive. The lady that is serving my aisle, she's constantly checking in on me, and being the only revenue passenger in the first class, I think it took them quite a lot of work to prepare the breakfast because they had to heat up my bagel, and maybe that's why it took around 20 minutes until I got the warm food. But before I was served the coffee, some bread and the muesli, as you saw before. Whatever I wanted, they would fulfill my wish. I could even have had the dinner from last night and they would have prepared it for me, but it was a bit too much for me, and after having had 2 dinners before in my previous flight from Cairo to Kuwait and then in the lounge, I was not looking forward for a 3rd dinner. So overall, I would say it's quite a solid first class product. And also on the ground in Kuwait, it was a quite nice experience with the elite lounge. I cannot quite say the same in Cairo, but I guess that's a little bit out of control of Kuwait Airways. Anyway, thumbs up from my side, and I would definitely spend some money again to fly Kuwait Airways. We are now descending into Manila and I'm super excited to be back there again. It's been too many years since my last visit. I like how my gimbal stays horizontal while we are curving around the Manila area for line-up into Naya. That was my experience on board Kuwait Airways in their first class cabin. Another bucket list item for me to tick off. And considering I paid only around $1,700 from Cairo to Kuwait and onwards to Manila, all in first class, I would say it was worth the money and I really enjoyed this trip. Said that, welcome to the Philippines, where I will spend a few days traveling around and trying 2 other airlines between the islands. Subscribe to my channel not to miss it. Okay, thank you. Thank you, bye. Thank you for watching. Till next time, bye for now.